Hi there, it's Nicole Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a little agenda card showcase using brand new products from the Mama Elephant February 2021 release. We've got a couple of great new cover backgrounds, we have new stamp sets, and I have mixed and matched them for these really fun little agenda cards. So if you love the little agenda sets, stay tuned. We are going to start with the lift flap grid. So Mama Elephant has lots of amazing grid backgrounds, and this one is interactive in the fact that it has these great little lift the flaps. So if you like to do some little hidden embellishing, this is a great one for you. I die cut my background from some smooth white cardstock, and I'm inking it with old paper, frayed burlap, and then finally a little ground espresso distress oxide inks. I do not use old paper very often, and I have to say, for me, it gave that perfect kind of prehistoric type of look that I was going for a dinosaur card. Something else about this stamp set, and also the Me and My Dinosaur that is released, the bigger, I say bigger stamp set, but it has some bigger dinosaurs in it, is the fact that I think they work really great for boys. There's not always tons of great stamp sets for boys, at least not in my opinion, I guess. And I love this. So after I inked it, I spritzed it with a distress sprayer and then pulled the Post-it tape off. I did tape off the edge because that gives it an automatic or an instant matted look. And I'm going to set it aside to dry. The oxidation is just, again, going to add to that kind of prehistoric look I was going for. I have another piece of cardstock. This one trimmed slightly smaller. So the grid background is going to die cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. That's A2 sized. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm inking this with bundled sage, peeled paint, and then finally a little frayed burlap. So a kind of different color combination. I actually started with bundled sage in the center and added the peeled paint on the border, and I didn't love it. So I'm actually covering up a lot of that with frayed burlap. But the awesome thing is it's still peeking out a little bit, and I ended up really, really loving it. So I'm going to spritz this with water as well and let that oxidation magic happen and set that aside to dry. And then we're going to stamp the images we're going to use for our card flaps. So what you're going to see here first is everything that I kind of think is going to work for the flaps of my grid. I do have some images over to the side, and I think I'll stamp a few extra in order to fill the little flap openings. I have listed the Copic marker colors I'm using across the top of the screen. I have also listed these on my blog post that coordinates with this video. So if you ever are curious exactly what color of markers I'm using, you can find that information there. Really quick, easy coloring and some really fun color combinations. So I know I talk a lot about my favorite color combinations. Other than this first one, the yellow red one that I just used for the first dinosaur, I do love all these color combinations. I don't want to say I don't. They're just not ones I use on a regular basis, but I love them. The muted colors work so much better, I think, for the background colors I chose to use for this card. And so they're all kind of more muted shades. A muted purple, that's actually a blue-violet color combination I used for the second dinosaur. I am using a color combination for the palm trees I use a lot. That's G24 and G28 with E55 and E57. But everything else is something I don't use a ton of. And I'm kind of excited about it and excited to share it with you. If more bright, bold colors aren't your thing, hopefully some of these color combinations might inspire you or kind of give you an idea of some new marker color combinations to try. I also want to note really quick that Simon Says Stamp currently has 25% off all Copic branded products through the end of the month, I believe. I think through the end of through the 28th. So if you're looking to maybe fill in some of those empty slots in your Copic marker collection, or you need some refills, whatever the case may be, this is a great time to do that. I always love when Simon does this. I end up picking up I have most of the markers I want at this point, but I always end up like picking up a couple of new refills anytime Simon has this great sale, because it's just such a fantastic way to add those things to my craft stash at a discounted price. This color combination, BG 70, 72, and 75, oh my gosh, is one of my favorites. I did use that color combination for some bee wings on one of my past Hero Arts projects. I believe the January card kit video. You can catch that on my channel if you're interested. It really worked great for the bee wings. I liked that. But other than that, I just don't use it tons, but I absolutely love it. And then some blue greens. We'll do a little bit more of blue greens here as well. So I have kind of like yellow greens, which is going to be anything that's YG. Blue greens, that's the BG. And we've got a couple of different color combinations of those. So this one's definitely more blue. The one in the upper left corner is more green. Then we've got our little cave person. The Me and My Dinosaur stamp set, I don't know if it's just me, but it totally gives me the Flintstones vibe. I'm really excited to show you my card I created with that a little bit later this week or next week. It's coming up. I love that stamp set. So I went ahead and finished coloring these. I die cut them off camera to save a little bit of time. And I'm going to take my grid cover now, the lift flap grid, I guess I should call it the right thing, lift flap grid, and I'm going to glue down my dinosaurs and the palm trees. The little cave person and the palm trees are from Me and My Dinosaur, and everything else is from the Little Dino Agenda, which is the newest agenda stamp set to the collection. There's 2 new ones this month. I'm so excited about that. If you guys have followed me for a while, you know I love the Little Agenda line of stamps and dies from Mama Elephant, and I had another video with those not too long ago with some other Little Agenda stamp sets, so they're definitely one of my favorite. I'm going to just put an acrylic block on top to help kind of hold everything nice and flat while it's drying. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the images for the inside of the flaps. That's going to be more palm trees, more dinosaurs, and a volcano. There is going to be one row on my card that I'm not going to do the lift the flap. In fact, I'm going to just glue those down so you can't. That's where that sentiment strip that I'm going to, or sentiment thought bubble is going to go. It kind of straddles the entire row a little bit. We're going to have some images out on the left and on the right, but then the sentiment strip in the middle. It eliminates a little bit of the work of having to provide something to add to all of these. And then on the front, on the lift flap grid here, 3 of the flaps are actually going to have the little sentiments from the stamp set. So that's going to have a rar, a grr, and a roar. Those are the 3 little sentiments in the Little Dino Agenda, and those are going to be on some of the flaps as well. So I did not list out the color combinations here again, simply because it's just a repeat of everything before. The only difference is the volcano, which I added a couple of shades of red to, and I actually added those after I die cut it. I forgot. I was coloring I was excited to see how my card was going to look, I guess. And I die cut everything. And before I attached the volcano to the card, I was like, oh, whoops, let's color in those little clouds and the lava. I also want to mention I did stamp quite a few more palm trees. I end up using 3 on like what I consider the front, and then in the flaps we're going to add 3 more. So there's 6 total, 3 small and 3 large. It's such a great little accent image that works with these little dino agenda, so I really love that about it. Once we have these colored in, I will die cut these as well. I do want to mention, if you are a fan of Little Agenda, you probably know there are lots of images in each stamp set. I think I used all but maybe 3 or 4 images from the set this time, so that is a ton. They are just so super cute. I know my boys when they were little would have loved these. And they may have to like them now. One of them might be the recipient of this card, I guess, at some point. But yeah, they're really, really cute. Okay, I colored in my volcano, and now we can put it all together. So I am going to first finish anything that's going to go on this front panel, starting with another little palm tree. I decided to put the 2 palm trees over on the right, and I want to add one next to my cave person. And then we want to stamp and emboss the sentiments on those flaps. And I'm so sorry, I didn't realize my camera wasn't on, so I didn't catch that part, but just imagine I stamped and embossed those sentiments on the flaps. Nothing special there. And then I'm just putting some double-sided adhesive around the 4 sides of my grid. I'm not going to put anything in the middle. It's going to give me a little bit more room to play and tuck things by not adding that. So I'm just going to peel off the backing paper, and then what I found was easiest was to flip my grid cover over and then just layer that smaller background on top. So when you lift the flaps, you see this really pretty kind of greenish brown background. I like that it's a slight contrast, but it's not enough different that it's just jarring. I think it really goes nicely with our front panel. Then I'm just going to glue all these little pieces in each of the flaps. And I played around with it. If at any point something didn't fit perfectly, you can always trim it with a little bit, with your scissors a little bit. I did do that a couple of times. But look how cute and fun it is. Can you imagine sending this to a younger kid and how much fun it is for the interactive cards? I have a younger niece and nephew, and I send them interactive cards because they love them. They love them so much that they break them, and they want to know if I'll come over and fix them, which I do. I can only do that for a little bit longer. They're actually moving away, and I'm so sad. But anyway, they love the interactive cards, and I love the interactive cards too. So I think everyone loves an interactive card. I actually even gave an interactive card to my youngest son for Valentine's Day, and he's like, "Mom, this is so cool." So even a 15-year-old likes it. We're going to add just a few more little bits and bobs to our card. And then I want to talk about my sentiment. I could have done just a basic sentiment strip. I am going to do that for my second card. But I thought, wouldn't it be fun to use the little thought bubble from the previously released Framed Tags Park Avenue die set from Mama Elephant. It has this really long speech bubble, which is cute, but it's a little too long for my card. So what I did was I stamped it and heat embossed my sentiment from Me and My Dinosaur. I embossed it in white on some Palm Hero Arts cardstock, which is just a great green cardstock that I think goes really nice with the colors I'm using today. And then I'm just going to line it up with the other side and shorten it up just a little bit. So that's how I got that smaller speech bubble from that die. I'm going to put foam adhesive on the back and then pop it up right there in the center of my card. Now, another idea is Mama Elephant has some awesome little sentiments that are going to work really well with these lift the flaps. So if you want to hide some sentiments, I would highly suggest checking out some of their other stamp sets, and especially that little stamp set. It is really great. I will link that in the supplies down below too, in case you are interested in checking it out. Let's go ahead and create our second card. So for this one, we're using the Rolling Waves cover. This is the other new background. And it is going to be great for all of your scene building as well. Just like before, I'm going to mask off the edges of this design with some Post-it tape. And I have that bundled sage out already, so we're going to use it again to create green grass. I know this is called Rolling Waves. I'm just imagining this is grassy waves, I guess, but you can definitely use it to create actual waves if you want to. I also want to mention I love Rustic Wilderness, which is one of the newer Tim Holtz inks paired with bundled sage. So I know you guys are wanting me to do some more Distress Oxide or Distress Ink color, oh my gosh, the word eludes me at the moment, comparison charts with the Distress Oxide colors, and I did create swatches as I was working here today. So I know someone mentioned they really want to see like the brown and neutral colors, and then while I had all the greens out, I went ahead and swatched the greens as well. So I will be posting some photos of those as well as some videos coming up. For my background, we are going to use a little speckled egg, which is another newer distress color with faded jeans. So this is kind of my sky color for this card. And then again, because we masked off the border, we are going to have an instant matted look while this stays relatively flat. That is the thing too. Both cards I was really trying to keep as flat as possible while still having lots of fun interest. Both were spritzed with water from a distress sprayer as well for that great oxidation. Gonna let that sit and dry while I stamp the 5 critters I picked from another little agenda set. This one is called Little Signage Agenda, and it is so cute. Tons and tons of critters. I believe there are 16. And then the entire alphabet and numbers so you can customize the signs they're holding. Genius, so smart. The only thing I will say, and it's probably for me personally, probably because I have nails, is these little letters always give me fits. And as much as I love them, it's such a pain to line them up. I think if I wasn't trying to use a MISTI, it would be a lot easier, but I just really love using the MISTI to make sure I have everything lined up. I decided to color all of my images first, and then once they are all colored, I'm going to not die cut them, but go ahead and put it back in my MISTI and stamp and emboss the letters to spell the word happy. We're going to create a birthday card here, and we're going to combine it with an older or previously released Mama Elephant stamp set to create this birthday card. Really, really simple. This came together so fast. Both cards really didn't take that long. This one was quicker because there wasn't as much coloring. The other one was just a lot of coloring and die cutting because it's almost double the images because of the images on the front and in the flaps. I decided for the signs to be rainbow color. And aren't they cute? So in the stamp set, you have a lion, looks like maybe a little hippo, cat, monkey, tiger, zebra, bear, rhino, panda, koala, penguin, ram, little spotted leopard, I think is what that is, the toucan and the mouse, some kangaroos, and an elephant. So very, very cute. I love the assortment here, and I like that this set really is customizable with any sentiment. And then I'm just going to color the rest of these guys in super, super quick so we can finish putting this card together. Because they're pretty small and I'm not completely filling this card with stamped and colored images, I tried really hard to make sure they're bright and colorful and they're that pop of color that I like to see on a card, because the rest is going to be that pretty muted blue sky, the muted green grass, and then some sentiments that are white embossed on black cardstock. So the color all comes with our little signage agenda and then a few little colorful embellishments that I will add to the design. I love that the toucan image with the sign actually has that little mouse. I think that's so fun. That little mouse makes an appearance in quite a few Mama Elephant stamp sets, which is cute. The cat, I originally was going to do a little orange tabby. I did not, because that happens to be the image holding the yellow sign. If I had swapped that around with something else, I think that would have worked better. But I think a black kitty with the yellow sign, in my opinion, just pops a little bit better. Then we'll just add a little bit of color to the bill on the toucan and color the rest of him in gray, and grab our coordinating dies and die cut these images real quick. I think the worst part of the little agenda is figuring out which die is which, because you get a ton of dies because there's tons of images. So now I'm going to fight with the letters for this stamp set, and I actually lined one up at a time and then would pick it up with the door of my Misty. I will have to repeat this for the P, but let's go ahead and stamp 4 of these at once, and then we'll come back and do the last one. So I opted to stamp and emboss these in white. I think it goes much better with the theme. I could have stamped them in black, but I love how the white looks on here. We'll heat emboss those with some white embossing powder. We'll repeat that for the remaining critter and the letter P, and then we're going to die cut this. I am a big fan of stamp sets that you can customize for a sentiment that you want. I will tell you, when I was designing this, I was trying to think of a way, or a word, pardon me, to fit my design but not have to do multiple lines of text. And I wanted to incorporate other sentiments. I knew I wanted to incorporate other sentiments, and so I came up with this because I thought happy birthday is a really fun sentiment. I like that. And so you get that with the happy that the critters are holding and then the happy birthday underneath it. Just like before, let's put some double-sided adhesive all the way around the edges of this panel, the rolling waves, and then pop it over our background. If you like some dimension, or if you like shakers, you could always put foam adhesive around the edges of this and pop it up a little bit. Just going to place my background back behind, and then I'm using the cutout from when I die cut my rolling waves, and I'm gluing down the clouds back in place and then removing that center piece. I thought the clouds were a fun little touch, so we're going to keep those. I'm going to see my sentiments, how that looks, and then let's go ahead and start gluing our critters. Some of them are going to be tucked behind some of the little grassy hills here. And I really should start with the center critter, since this is a 5-letter word. I like to start in the center and work my way out. And then I'm going to glue all these little guys down. Might take just a tiny bit of work. I like them to overlap just a little bit, and I don't want them to all be back behind the same exact hill. I think it adds a little bit more interest to have them kind of offset. Then we're going to prep a piece of black cardstock and stamp 3 of the phrases from the birthday messages stamp set using clear ink and heat embossing with white embossing powder. Then we'll die cut these with a nested banner die and pop them up on our card with some foam adhesive. So this is where my little bit of dimension comes, same as the previous card. We're just going to pop up our little strips with that. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp nested banner die to die cut these. You could also just use a paper trimmer. You definitely don't have to use a die if you don't want to. So this looks really cute, but I feel like it needs just a little bit more color added to the design. And we're going to get that with some of these funfetti stars and then a little heart as well. So underneath the 2 sentiment strips at the bottom, we're going to put a little heart right there in the center. And then we're going to scatter about 6 colorful stars up in the sky to balance out the design and add a fun little decorative element. We added some little gold confetti to the previous card and a little white heart, so just kind of keeping with the trend and the theme today. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Mama Elephant Little Agenda card showcase featuring brand new stamps and dies from the Mama Elephant February 2021 release. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.